Hello friends, this is Dr. Shivraj Halemani, lecturer in the Department of Chemistry, Veerashaiva College, Ballari. In this today's class, I am going to discuss about the colligative properties which comes under physical chemistry for BSc 4th semester students. As we know that solutions are nothing but these are the homogeneous mixtures which are produced by mixing solute and as well as solvent. But solutions have a different properties than either of the solutes and as well as the solvents which are used for the making of that solution. These properties of a solution are broadly divided into two different categories. One is colligative property and another one is non-colligative property. These colligative properties are nothing but these are the properties of a solution that depends on nature of a solute particle but not on the number of solute particles. I repeat, non-colligative properties are nothing but these are the properties of a solution which depends upon the nature of a solute particle but not on the number of solute particles. Whereas colligative properties are nothing but these are the special properties of a solution that depends upon the number of solute particles but not on the nature of solute particles. These properties that depends upon the number of solute particles but not on the nature of a solute particle. Again, colligative properties are nothing but these are the properties of a solution which depends on the number of solute particles but not on nature of a solute particle. Let us consider two dilute solutions of a equimolar concentration, one containing urea and other containing sugar. Since urea possesses different nature and sugar possesses different nature, but when we consider the equimolar concentration of these two solutions, they possess same number of solute particles in that particular solutions, and hence both the solutions shows same osmotic pressure. This osmotic pressure is nothing but one of the colligative property. Therefore, we can say that both the solutions that shows the same colligative properties. It indicates that colligative properties are directly proportional to the concentration of an particle in the solution but not on the nature of an solute present in the solution. Again, these colligative properties are classified into four different categories. One is the relative lowering of vapor pressure, and second one is the elevation in the boiling point, third one is the depression in the freezing point, and the last one is osmotic pressure. And today's video class I am going to discuss about these two parameters or these two properties of an solutions. Let us begin with the elevation in the boiling point. Boiling point of the liquid is the temperature at which vapor pressure of a solution becomes exactly equal to the atmospheric pressure, and it is also known that liquids boils only when its vapor pressure becomes exactly equal to the atmospheric pressure. But whenever a non-volatile solute is added to the solvent, the vapor pressure of a solution is get lowered. This is mainly because of the reason that in the pure solvent, the surface area is completely available for the evaporation, and therefore it evaporates continuously and produces large quantity of an vapor pressure. Since this vapor pressure is inversely proportional to the boiling point, and hence because of highest vapor pressure, the solvent boils at very low temperature. Whereas in case of a solution, when non-volatile solute is added to the solvent, some of the available area of the solvent which is available for the evaporation is get occupied by the added non-volatile solute, and hence the vaporization process decreases and the solution possesses low vapor pressure when compared to the solvent, and hence the boiling point of solution is found to be comparatively high when compared to the solvent. In order to boil the solution, the temperature has to be raised further so as to make its vapor pressure equal to the atmospheric pressure. Elevation in the boiling point. As we know that the boiling point of a pure solvent is lower than that of the boiling point of a solution. That is, the boiling point of a solution considered as in TB is always higher than the boiling point of a solvent TB0. Then the difference in the boiling point of that solution and the solvent is called as an elevation in the boiling point. That is represented as delta T. Delta T is nothing but elevation in the boiling point. It is nothing but TB minus TB0. That indicates the difference in the boiling point of a solution TB and the boiling point of an solvent. The difference is called as elevation in the boiling point. The relation between the relative lowering of vapor pressure and the elevation in the boiling point is given by the relation P0 minus P divided by P0 is equal to LV into delta T divided by RT0 square, where P0 minus P divided by P0 is nothing but the relative lowering of vapor pressure of an solution, where LV is the latent heat of vaporization and delta T is nothing but elevation in the boiling point, R is the gas constant, and T0 is nothing but it is an boiling point of a pure solvent. This is the elevation in the boiling point curve, which gives a relationship between temperature and vapor pressure. From the diagram, it is clear that the vapor pressure of a solvent is found to be high when compared to the vapor pressure of a solution. As we mentioned, in the solvent, the surface area is maximum available for the evaporation process, and hence it easily undergoes evaporation and possesses highest amount of vapor pressure. Again, the vapor pressure of a solution is low when compared to the solvent, because when we add some solute to the solvent, the sum of the available surface area is covered by the added solute particles, and hence evaporation decreases, and therefore solution possesses lower vapor pressure when compared to the solvent. And again, as I mentioned before itself only, the vapor pressure is inversely proportional to the boiling point, and hence solvent which possesses the highest vapor pressure easily boils at the lower boiling point, whereas the solution that possesses highest boiling point. Now let us prove that the boiling point of a solution is a colligative property. Remember that the colligative property is nothing but this is the property of a solution that depends upon the number of solute particles present in a solution, but not on the nature of a solute particle. As we know that from the relation between the relative lowering of vapor pressure and elevation in the boiling point, P0 minus P divided by P0 is equal to LV into delta T divided by RT0 square. Let us consider this as an equation number 1. And from Raoult's law, we know that P0 minus divided by P0, that is relative lowering of vapor pressure, is equal to the mole fraction of the solute, where N is nothing but number of moles of solute and capital N is nothing but number of moles of solvent. And hence relative lowering of vapor pressure is equal to the mole fraction of an solute. Then replace this P0 minus P divided by P0 by N plus N in the equation number 1. Then equation number 1 can be written as P0 minus P divided by P0 is replaced by N divided by N plus N is equal to LV into RT0 LV divided by RT0 square into delta T. Now I write this LV divided by RT0 square as a constant, and therefore the variation in the delta T that directly proportional to the number of moles of solute that is present in a solution, and hence I am going to replace this LV by RT0 square with the proportionality symbol. From this we can able to say that delta T is directly proportional to the N divided by N plus N, where N divided by N plus N is nothing but number of moles of solute. Therefore elevation in the boiling point of a solution is directly proportional to the number of moles of solute particles that are dissolved in the solution, but not on the nature of a particle. Therefore we can able to say that the boiling point, elevation in the boiling point is an colligative property. Now let us prove the relation between the molar mass and elevation in the boiling point of a solution. Again, from the relation between relative lowering of vapor pressure, we can able to write that P0 minus P divided by P0 is equal to LV by R into delta T divided by T0 square. I am just rearranging these terms, delta T into LV divided by RT0 square is equal to P0 minus P divided by P0. Then delta T, and I am going to take this term as a constant. I am going to replace it by proportionality symbol, that is delta T is directly proportional to the P0 minus P divided by P0. Call it as equation number 1. From Raoult's law, we are also known that P0 minus P divided by P0 is directly proportional to W, small w into capital M divided by capital W into small m, where small w and small m are nothing but weight of an solute particle and molecular mass of an solute particle. Capital W and capital M are nothing but weight of an solvent particle and molecular weight of an solvent particles. Then equation 1 can be written as delta T is directly proportional to small w into capital M divided by capital W into small m. I am just replacing or rearranging these terms. The molecular mass of a solute is directly proportional to weight of a solute, molecular mass of a solute, the weight of a solvent, and elevation in the boiling point. In the next step, we are going to remove this proportionality symbol. I am going to write some constant that is called as Kb. That Kb is called as molar elevation constant or ebullioscopic constant. Then in the next step, if the molecular mass of the solvent, that is capital M, is considered as a constant, and the weight of the solvent, if it is written in terms of in kg, then we can able to write that expression in the following format. Upon rearranging, you will get M is equal to 1000 kb into small w divided by capital W into delta T. This is the relation between molecular mass and elevation in the boiling point, where small m is nothing but the molecular mass of a solute, and Kb is the ebullioscopic constant or molar elevation constant, and small w is nothing but this is the weight of a solute, and capital W represents the weight of a solvent, and delta T is nothing but elevation in the boiling point. Next, ebullioscopic constant or molar elevation constant, which is represented with the help of a symbol Kb. This ebullioscopic constant may be defined as the boiling point elevation produced when 1 mole of a solute is dissolved in 1 kg of the solvent. That is written as delta T is equal to Kb. Now, most important thing, that is determination of molecular mass of a solute by Landberger's method. This Landberger's method is used to determine the molecular weight of a non-volatile solute with the help of an elevation in the boiling point technique. This is the operator setup for the Landberger's method, and this Landberger's method apparatus consists of a graduated inner tube with a hole in its side. This is the graduated inner tube which possesses a hole in it inside. And second one is a boiling flask which sends the solvent vapors into the inner tube through a nose head. This is the boiling flask. The nose head is nothing but the tube that possesses large number of holes at its bottom. And third one is an outer tube which receives solvent vapors coming out from the side holes of an inner tube. An outer tube, this is the outer tube. A Beckmann's thermometer which can read up to 0.01 Kelvin. This is the Beckmann thermometer. The main advantage of this Beckmann thermometer is it is capable of measuring even a very sensitive changes in the temperature. Procedure. In the first step, the pure solvent is placed in the graduated tube. In this graduated tube, we are going to take the pure solvent, and vapor pressure of the same solvent boiling in the separate flask is passed into it with the help of a nose head. This is the separate flask which contains the same solvent which is taken in the graduated tube. In the separate flask, we are going to boil. For example, we consider as a benzene as a solvent. The pure benzene is taken as a solvent in this graduated tube, and the same pure benzene is taken in the separate flask which is boiled, and the vapor pressures which are coming from this pure solvent are passed into the graduated tube with the help of this nose head. Then the vapor causes the solvent in the tube to boil by its latent heat of conduction. As we continuously passes the vapor pressure of the same solvent into the graduated tube, because of increasing the vapor pressure at a particular temperature, the pure solvent which is present in the graduated tube starts to boil. When solvent starts to boil and temperature becomes constant, its boiling point is reached, then the apparatus is now allowed to cool down. Later, a small quantity of an weighed solute whose molecular weight to be determined is added into the solvent in the inner tube. After cooling, we are going to add small quantity of an solute particle. In this example, we have taken a cholesterol as an solute particle, and that solute particle is added to the pure solvent which is taken in the graduated tube after cooling. Then again, a vapor pressure of the solvent is passed until the boiling point of a solution is reached and which is recorded. After addition of this non-volatile solute to the solvent, we need to heat the solvent which is present in the separate flask, and then we need to pass out these vapor pressures into a graduated tube until the solvent in the inner tube again starts to boil, and that temperature is recorded. Now thermometer and nose side are removed out of the solution and volume of the solution is also read. From this elevation in the boiling point, that is delta TB is known and the volume of the solution is also known, and hence we can calculate the molecular weight of the solute by using the following relation, that is M, that is the molecular mass of solute, is equal to 1000 into Kb, where Kb is nothing but avoloscopic constant, and small w, that represents the weight of an solute taken, divided by delta T, that is the elevation the boiling point, into capital W, that is weight of an solvent. Now let us discuss with the depression in the freezing point of an solution. Freezing point depression. The freezing point is nothing but, roughly we can able to say this, the temperature at which the liquid state is converted into the solid state is called as an freezing point. But freezing point is defined as a temperature at which the vapor pressure of a material in its solid form and as well as the liquid form is found to be almost the same, is called as a freezing point. We know that vapor pressure of the solvent is always greater than that of the vapor pressure of a solution, and in case of a freezing point, this vapor pressure is directly proportional to the freezing point. Whenever a non-volatile solute is added to the pure solvent, the freezing point of a solution is get lowered. This decrease in the freezing point is called as a depression in the freezing point. So it is known that the freezing point of a solution is always lower than the freezing point of a solvent. Let us consider Tf naught be the freezing point of a solvent and Tf be the freezing point of a solution. Then we can able to say that Tf naught, that is the freezing point of a solvent, is always greater than the Tf, that is the freezing point of a solution. The difference between the freezing points of the solvent and the solution is called as an depression in the freezing point, and that is represented as delta Tf. The delta Tf is nothing but Tf naught minus Tf, where Tf naught is the freezing point of a pure solvent and the Tf is the freezing point of a solution. This is the depression in the freezing point curve. From this again we can able to say that the vapor pressure of a solvent is very high and the vapor pressure of a solution is comparatively low because of the unavailability of the complete surface area for the evaporation in case of a solution, and hence vapor pressure is directly proportional to the freezing point. Therefore the solvent which possesses the highest vapor pressure, that freezes at a very high temperature, whereas the solution that possesses the lower vapor pressure freezes at the less temperature. Therefore the freezing point of a solvent is always higher than the freezing point of a solution. The difference in the freezing point of the solvent and the solution is called as depression in the freezing point. Now let us prove that the freezing point of a solution is colligative property. Again, we know the relation between the relative lowering of vapor pressure and freezing point of a solution is given by P naught minus P divided by P naught is equal to delta HF into delta TF divided by RT naught square, where P naught minus P divided by P naught is termed as a relative lowering of vapor pressure, and delta HF is nothing but the enthalpy of the freezing, and delta TF is nothing but the depression in the freezing point, R is nothing but gas constant, and T naught is the freezing point of a pure solvent. And again from Raoult's law we know that P naught minus P divided by P naught, that is the relative lowering of vapor pressure, is equal to the mole fraction. We are going to substitute this value of P naught minus P divided by P naught in equation number 1. Then it can be written as N divided by N plus 1 is equal to delta HF into delta HF divided by RT naught square into delta TF, and this is termed as a constant. Then the variation in the delta TF value is directly proportional to the N divided by N plus 1, and this can be written as a proportionality with the help of proportionality symbol. Then delta TF is directly proportional to the N divided by N plus 1. It is nothing but depression in the freezing point of a solution is directly proportional to the number of moles of solute which are present in the solution. And hence any property that directly proportional to the number of moles of solute which is present in the solution, then it is called as an colligative property. Now, relation between the molecular mass and depression in the freezing point. Again, we know the relation between the relative lowering of vapor pressure and depression in the freezing point, that is given by P0 minus P divided by P0 is equal to delta HF divided by R into delta TF divided by T0 square. On rearrangement, we can able to write this expression as delta TF into delta HF divided by RT naught square is equal to P0 minus P divided by P0 as it is. I am going to consider this as a constant and replace this constant by the proportionality symbol. Then delta TF is directly proportional to P0 minus P divided by P0. Call it as equation number 1. From Raoult's law, again we know that this P0 minus P divided by P0 value is equal to the small w into capital M divided by capital W into small m. I'm going to replace this term with the help of this term, and then upon rearrangement we can able to write this equation as M is directly proportional to small w into capital M divided by capital W into delta TF. And removing this proportionality symbol, M is equal to Kf, where Kf is nothing but it is a constant called as molar depression constant or cryoscopic constant. That is M is equal to Kf into small w into capital M divided by capital W into delta TF. If molecular mass of a solvent, that is M is considered as a constant, and the weight of a solvent, that is capital W, is, if it is represented in terms of in kg, then we can able to express this relation as M is equal to Kf into small w by capital W into 1000 into delta TF. On rearrangement and simplification, it gives the relation M is equal to 1000 into Kf into small w divided by capital W into delta TF, where M is the molecular mass of a solute and Kf is the cryoscopic constant or molar depression constant, and small w is the weight of a solute and capital W is the weight of a solvent, and delta TF is the depression in the freezing point. And cryoscopic constant can be defined as the depression in the freezing point that produced by dissolving 1 mole of an solute in 1 kg of an solvent, and that is indicated with the relation delta TF is equal to Kf. And next one is abnormal molecular mass and Van 't Hoff factor. Abnormal molecular mass. Molecular masses of a certain substances which are determined by quantitative methods does not coincide with theoretical molecular masses found by its molecular formula. Then the value will be either too large or too small. The molar masses that are lower or higher than the expected values when calculated using colligative properties are called as an abnormal molar masses. This abnormal behavior depends upon the total number of the moles of particles either after dissociation or association of a solute molecule in a solvent or solution. Dissociation of solutes. There are many solutes which are organic acids, salts and bases. When dissolved in the water, they dissociates into ions. For example, the sodium chloride. And sodium chloride is dissolved in water, it splits into two different ions, that is sodium ion and chloride ion. 1 mole of an sodium chloride that produces 1 mole of an sodium ion and 1 mole of an chloride ion. And hence, after the dissociation of an sodium chloride, due to the increase in the number of ions or number of solute particles in a solution, the boiling point of an water is increased. And when the molar masses is determined experimentally, it always comes lower than as we expected. And hence, colligative properties will be high and the molecular masses will be low during the dissociation of a solute. And association of solutes. There are many solutes, when dissolved, they get associated into the solution, and this decreases the number of moles of solute in the solution. This increases the molar mass of the solution than expected value when determined experimentally using colligative properties. For example, when acetic acid is dissolved in the benzene, molecules of the acetic acid that get associated, that is, they forms the dimer due to the hydrogen bonding, and hence number of particles in the solution is get reduced. Since Before association, there are 2 moles of an acetic acid molecules. After association, that forms only one particular dimer, that is the acetic acid dimer, and hence number of the particles in the solution is get decreased, and hence the colligative properties will be low and molecular mass of a solution will be high. Next one is the Van 't Hoff factor. Van 't Hoff is a Dutch scientist who introduced a factor known as Van 't Hoff factor after keeping in account of the increase or decrease in the molecular masses than expected because of dissociation or association of a solute. The Van 't Hoff factor is denoted by the letter I. This Van 't Hoff factor tells the extent to which association or dissociation of a solute molecules takes place in the solution. Mathematically, this Van 't Hoff factor is represented in 3 different forms. First one is, it is the ratio of normal molecular mass of a solute to the abnormal molecular mass of a solute, and second one is it is the ratio of observed colligative property to the calculated colligative property of a solute particles, and third one is it is the ratio of the total number of the moles of the particles after the association or dissociation to the number of moles of the particles before the association or dissociation. The value of I that indicates association and dissociation. For association process, the value of I will be less than 1. If the value of I is found to be greater than 1, then that indicates the dissociation of a solute in the solution. If the value of I is found to be exactly equal to 1, there is no association or no dissociation. I repeat, if the Van 't Hoff factor value is found to be less than 1 in the solution, that indicates the association of a solute particle. If the Van 't Hoff factor value is found to be greater than 1 in solution, that indicates the dissociation of a solute particle. If the Van 't Hoff factor is found to be equal to 1, that indicates there is no association or dissociation of a solute particles in the solution. Thank you.